The courier's knock echoed through our apartment like a death sentence. I opened the door expecting a package, maybe flowers from Marcus trying to make amends. Instead, a manila envelope landed in my trembling hands. Divorce papers with my name typed in cold, official letters. Inside, a detailed list of every mistake I thought I'd buried forever. How did one night of harmless fun destroy everything I'd built? Before we dive deeper into the story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. The bass thumped through the downtown lounge as I adjusted my black dress, feeling more alive than I had in months. Sarah's promotion party was exactly what I needed, a chance to break free from the suffocating routine Marcus and I had fallen into. "Evanthi, you look amazing," Sarah squealed, pulling me toward the bar. "I can't believe you almost didn't come." I glanced back at Marcus, who sat stiffly at our table, nursing his first beer of the evening. His disapproving frown was already etched across his face, and we'd only been here 20 minutes. "One night out won't kill him," I muttered, accepting the cosmopolitan Sarah thrust into my hands. The alcohol hit my empty stomach like liquid courage. I'd skipped dinner, too busy arguing with Marcus about whether I really needed to attend this party. His passive-aggressive comments about responsible behavior and setting an example for Ava still rang in my ears. "Earth to Evanthi." My sister Dinah appeared beside me, phone already recording. At 29, she documented every moment of her life for Instagram. "Say hi to my followers." I waved at her camera, feeling the cosmopolitan's warmth spread through my chest. "Hi everyone, we're celebrating Sarah's big promotion." "Your husband looks thrilled," Dina whispered, panning her phone toward Marcus. He was checking his watch again, that familiar look of resigned patience plastered across his face. "Marcus needs to learn how to have fun," I said, louder than necessary. Several heads turned our way. "Some of us know how to live a little." Leo Sander materialized from the crowd, his familiar smile sending an unexpected flutter through my stomach. We'd worked together 2 years ago, before his messy divorce. Now he looked confident, relaxed, everything Marcus wasn't. "Evanthi Rel," he said, his voice warm with recognition. "I heard you were here. You look incredible." "Leo," I felt my cheeks flush, whether from the alcohol or his attention, I couldn't tell. "I didn't know you knew Sarah." "We met at a networking event last month. Mind if I steal you for a dance?" I glanced toward Marcus, who was now talking to some guy from accounting, completely ignoring me. "I'd love to." Leo's hand found the small of my back as he guided me to the dance floor. The contact sent electricity through my skin. When was the last time Marcus had touched me like that? With intention, with desire. "Your husband doesn't dance?" Leo asked as we swayed to the music. "Marcus doesn't do a lot of things," I replied, surprised by my own bitterness. The second cosmopolitan was already working its magic, loosening my tongue and my inhibitions. "That's a shame. A woman like you deserves to be appreciated." His words wrapped around me like silk. When had Marcus last called me beautiful? When had he last looked at me like I was something precious instead of just another responsibility? The music shifted to something with a heavier beat, and Leo's hands moved to my hips. I should have stepped back, should have remembered the ring on my finger, but the attention felt too good. For the first time in months, I felt desired, alive, electric. "Evanthi." Dina's voice cut through the music. She was still recording, capturing every moment of my liberation. "You two look so good together," I laughed, spinning in Leo's arms. "We're just dancing." But even as I said it, I knew it was more than that. The way he looked at me, the way his touch lingered. This was dangerous territory, and I didn't care. Marcus appeared at the edge of the dance floor, his jaw tight with barely contained anger. "Evanthi, we should go. Ava's babysitter needs to leave by 11. "It's only 9:30, I protested, not moving from Leo's embrace. "The party just started." "You've had enough to drink." The condescension in his voice ignited something fierce inside me. Don't tell me what I've had enough of, Marcus. I'm a grown woman. Then act like one. The words hung in the air between us like a slap. Around us, conversations quieted as people began to notice our confrontation. You know what? I said, my voice carrying across the suddenly quiet section of the bar. Maybe if you paid half as much attention to your wife as you do to your spreadsheets, we wouldn't have this problem. Marcus's face went pale. We'll discuss this at home. No, let's discuss it now. When was the last time you told me I was beautiful, Marcus? When was the last time you looked at me like you actually wanted me? Evanthi, please. Leo thinks I'm beautiful. Leo knows how to make a woman feel special. I was dimly aware that Dina was still recording, that half the party was now watching our domestic drama unfold. Marcus looked like I'd punched him in the gut. I'm going home. Call me when you're ready to act like a wife and mother. He turned and walked away, leaving me standing on the dance floor with Leo's arms still around me and 30 pairs of eyes watching my marriage crumble in real time. Forget him, Leo whispered in my ear. Dance with me. And I did. For the next 2 hours, I danced with Leo, with other men from the party, with anyone who would pay attention to me. I laughed too loud, drank too much, and let hands wander to places they shouldn't have gone. Dina captured it all, posting clips to her Instagram story in real time. The comments poured in, some supportive, others scandalized. I didn't care. For one night, I was free from Marcus's disapproval, free from the suffocating expectations of being the perfect wife and mother. It wasn't until I woke up the next morning, fully clothed on our couch with my phone buzzing incessantly, that I realized how badly I'd miscalculated. Marcus was gone. His side of the bed was unslept in, his coffee cup absent from the kitchen sink. Ava sat at the breakfast table, quietly eating cereal and watching me with worried 8-year-old eyes. Where's Daddy? She asked. He had to leave early for work, sweetheart. But even as I said it, I knew it was a lie. The messages on my phone told a different story. Screenshots of Dina's Instagram posts, forwarded videos of me grinding against Leo on the dance floor, text messages from friends asking if Marcus and I were okay. The worst was a group message from Sarah. Girl, you might want to see what's circulating. Call me. With shaking fingers, I opened the video attachment. There I was, clearly intoxicated, my hands roaming over Leo's chest while he whispered something in my ear that made me throw my head back and laugh. In the background, I could see Marcus's empty chair at our table, his abandoned beer growing warm while his wife made a spectacle of herself. The phone slipped from my numb fingers as the full weight of what I'd done crashed over me. But even then, even with the evidence staring me in the face, I told myself it wasn't that bad. We'd just been dancing, having fun. Marcus was overreacting, like always. I had no idea that my husband had already begun documenting everything. Marcus didn't come home that night or the next morning. I called his office, but his assistant said he was working remotely. When I tried his cell, it went straight to voicemail. By Tuesday afternoon, I was desperate enough to drive to his parents' house. Helen answered the door with a face like winter. Evanthi. Is Marcus here? He won't return my calls. Can you blame him? My mother-in-law had never liked me, but the contempt in her voice was sharper than usual. Helen, I don't know what you think you saw. I saw my son's wife grinding against another man while her husband sat alone at a table. I saw her humiliate him in front of his colleagues and friends. Helen's perfectly manicured fingers gripped the doorframe. I saw 30 years of his reputation destroyed in one evening. It was just dancing. It was adultery, Evanthi. Maybe not technically, but morally, absolutely. The word hit me like a physical blow. That's ridiculous. I never slept with anyone. I never even kissed Leo. You might as well have. The whole city has seen those videos. Videos, plural. My stomach clenched. What videos? Helen's smile was arctic. The ones where you're letting that man's hands roam all over your body. The ones where you're telling everyone who'll listen what a terrible husband my son is. The ones where you're acting like a woman who forgot she has a family. I want to see Marcus. He doesn't want to see you. Not until you're ready to take responsibility for what you've done. The door closed in my face with a soft click that sounded like a gunshot. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, hands shaking as I scrolled through social media. The videos were everywhere, reposted, shared, commented on. My sister's innocent Instagram story had become a viral sensation in our social circle. The comments were brutal. Isn't she married? Poor Marcus, he deserves better. This is so embarrassing. How could she do this to him? Someone should tell her husband. Her poor daughter. But there were supporters too, mostly my younger friends and co-workers. You go, girl. Live your life. Marriage doesn't mean you're dead. Her husband looks boring anyway. I screenshot the positive comments and crafted my response carefully. If Marcus wanted to play the victim, I'd show everyone who the real victim was. My post went live that evening. I'm disappointed by the judgment I'm seeing from people who claim to care about me. Yes, I had fun at a party. Yes, I danced with friends. No, I didn't do anything wrong. Marriage is about trust and partnership, not ownership. I'm sorry if seeing a confident woman enjoying herself makes some people uncomfortable, but I won't apologize for refusing to be controlled. Marcus and I are working through some issues, but that's between us. To those spreading gossip and making assumptions, please find something better to do with your time. To those supporting me, thank you for understanding that women deserve freedom and respect. Live authentically. Shun marriage is partnership, where and no shame. The response was immediate and divided. My mother called within minutes. Good for you, honey, Mom said. Marcus has always been too controlling. Maybe this will wake him up. I just want him to come home so we can talk. He will. Men like Marcus need drama to feel important. Let him sulk for a few days, then he'll come crawling back. But Marcus didn't come crawling back. Instead, he showed up at our apartment Wednesday evening while I was helping Ava with homework, looking like a stranger in his own home. We need to talk, he said quietly. I sent Ava to her room and faced my husband across our kitchen table. He looked terrible, exhausted, hollow-eyed, older than his 35 years. Marcus, I'm so glad you're home. I know we need to work through this, but I think you're blowing everything out of proportion. Stop. His voice was flat, emotionless. Just stop. He pulled out his phone and set it on the table between us. I want you to watch something. The video started playing. It was me, clearly intoxicated, pressed against Leo on the dance floor. But this wasn't the edited clip from Dina's Instagram. This was raw security footage from the bar, complete with timestamp and audio. I watched myself run my hands through Leo's hair, whisper something in his ear that made him laugh and pull me closer. I watched myself look directly at the camera, at Marcus, who must have been standing nearby, and smile with defiant satisfaction. Turn it off, I whispered. There's more. The next clip showed me at the bar with Leo, his hand on my thigh as I leaned into him. The bartender was clearly uncomfortable, glancing between us and the wedding ring on my finger. I said turn it off. This one's my favorite. Marcus's voice was deadly calm as he swiped to another video. This is you telling Jennifer Walsh that I'm emotionally unavailable and that you deserve better. This is you saying that maybe you married the wrong man. I had no memory of that conversation, but there I was, gesticulating wildly as I spoke to Jennifer, who looked increasingly uncomfortable. I was drunk, Marcus. People say stupid things when they're drunk. Do they? Or do they just say things they're usually too cowardly to admit? The accusation hung between us like poison. That's not fair. Fair? Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that my co-workers have seen my wife grinding against another man? Is it fair that my daughter's friends' parents are asking if Mommy and Daddy are getting divorced? Is it fair that I can't go to the grocery store without people staring and whispering? I never meant for any of this to happen. But it did happen, and instead of apologizing, instead of taking responsibility, you posted that sanctimonious garbage on Facebook about being a confident woman and refusing to be controlled. My cheeks burned. I was defending myself. From what? The truth? From people who don't understand our marriage? Our marriage. Marcus stood up slowly, like an old man. Avanthi, after watching you with that man, after hearing what you really think of me, I'm not sure we have a marriage anymore. The words hit me like ice water. Don't say that. We can fix this. Can we? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've already moved on. That's not true. Leo means nothing to me. It was just attention, Marcus. When was the last time you looked at me like you wanted me? When was the last time you gave me a reason to? The cruelty of it took my breath away. How can you say that to me? Because it's true. For months you've been distant, critical, dissatisfied. Nothing I do is good enough. I work 60 hours a week to provide for this family, and you act like I'm some kind of failure because I don't sweep you off your feet every night. I never said you were a failure. You didn't have to. It's written all over your face every time you look at me. He picked up his phone, pocketing the evidence of my betrayal. I'm staying at my parents' house for a while. We both need time to think. What about Ava? What about her? She's been asking why Mommy was acting weird at the party. Apparently some of her friends' parents were there. The shame was suffocating. I never wanted her to be involved in this. Then you should have thought about that before you decided to audition for every man in the bar. He was at the door when I found my voice again. Marcus, wait. I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry. It was a mistake. A stupid, drunken mistake. But it's not worth throwing away 10 years of marriage. He turned back to me, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of the man I'd fallen in love with. Maybe not. But the question is, do you actually want to save this marriage, or do you just want to avoid the consequences of your actions? The door closed behind him before I could answer, leaving me alone with a question I wasn't sure I was ready to face. Sunday dinner at the Rell family house had been a tradition for 8 years, but I'd never dreaded it more than I did that week. Marcus had been staying with his parents for 4 days, communicating with me only through terse text messages about Ava's schedule. I spent an hour getting ready, choosing a conservative blue dress and minimal makeup. If I could just get through one family dinner, show everyone that we were working things out, maybe we could start to move past this nightmare. Ava chatted nervously in the car, sensing the tension but not understanding it. Will Daddy be there? Of course, sweetheart. We're all having dinner together. Are you and Daddy fighting? The innocent question pierced my heart. Sometimes grown-ups disagree about things, but it doesn't mean we don't love each other. The lie tasted bitter in my mouth. Helen answered the door with the same Arctic politeness she'd shown all week. Avanthi, Ava darling, come give Grandma a hug. The house felt different, charged with unspoken tension. Louis sat in his usual chair, reading the newspaper with unusual intensity. Marcus was nowhere to be seen. Where's Marcus? I asked, trying to sound casual. He'll be down shortly, Helen replied, not meeting my eyes. Ava ran off to play in the backyard, leaving me alone with my in-laws. The silence stretched until Louis cleared his throat. This is a difficult situation, Avanthi. I know, and I'm sorry you've been dragged into it. Marcus and I are working through our problems privately. Helen made a sound that might have been a laugh. Privately? Your problems are all over the internet. That wasn't my choice. Wasn't it? You chose to behave that way in public. You chose to humiliate my son in front of his friends and colleagues. I made a mistake. You made several mistakes, and instead of owning up to them, you're trying to spin this as Marcus being controlling. My phone buzzed with a text message. Leo's name on the screen made my stomach clench. Hey, beautiful. Been thinking about our dance. When can we do it again? I quickly deleted the message, but not before Helen noticed my reaction. Important message, she asked sweetly. Just work stuff. Marcus appeared in the doorway, looking like he hadn't slept in days. He kissed his mother's cheek and nodded politely at me, like I was a stranger. "How are you, honey?" Helen asked, her voice soft with maternal concern. "I'm fine, Mom." But he wasn't fine. The man I'd married was confident, steady, unshakable. This version of Marcus looked broken. Dinner was excruciating. Every attempt at conversation died quickly. Ava filled the silence with chatter about school, but even she began to notice the adults' strained politeness. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. "This is ridiculous. We're family. Can't we at least try to act normal for Ava's sake?" "Normal?" Helen set down her fork with deliberate precision. "What's normal about this situation, Evanthi?" "I made a mistake. I've apologized. How long are you all going to punish me for one night?" "One night?" Louis spoke for the first time during dinner. "You think this is about one night? What else would it be about?" Marcus looked up from his untouched plate. "Tell them about the messages, Evanthi." My blood turned to ice. "What messages?" "The ones from Leo. The ones you've been deleting." How could he possibly know about those? "I don't know what you're talking about. Friday night. Can't stop thinking about you. Saturday morning. Your husband doesn't deserve you. This afternoon. When can we do it again?" Marcus recited the messages with mechanical precision. "Should I go on?" The room spun around me. "How do you... Cloud backup. We share an iCloud account, remember? For family photos." I'd forgotten about that. Every message, every photo, every deleted conversation. He'd seen it all. "Those messages don't mean anything. I never responded to them." "You didn't block him either." Helen's face was white with fury. "You've been carrying on with this man while my son is trying to save your marriage." "I haven't been carrying on with anyone. I never even answered his texts." "But you kept them," Marcus said quietly. "You read them, and you kept them." My phone buzzed again. Without thinking, I glanced at the screen. Another message from Leo. "Saw your husband at the bank today. He looked miserable. You deserve so much better, gorgeous." The blood drained from my face as I realized everyone at the table had seen me check the message. "Evanthi," Louis said slowly, "I think you should leave." "What? No, this is family dinner. We always have family dinner." "Not anymore," Helen said. "Not until you decide what's more important, your family or your ego." "My ego? This isn't about ego, isn't it?" Marcus finally looked directly at me, and the pain in his eyes was devastating. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're more interested in the attention you're getting from this mess than you are in fixing what you broke." "That's not true." "Then block his number, right now, in front of all of us." My finger hovered over my phone screen. It should have been simple. One tap, problem solved. But something held me back. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was the intoxicating feeling of being wanted. Maybe it was just stubborn defiance. "I shouldn't have to prove myself to you like this." The silence that followed was deafening. "Get out," Helen whispered. "Get out of my house." "Helen, get out!" Ava appeared in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. "Why is everyone yelling?" The sight of my daughter's frightened expression finally broke through my self-righteous anger. I knelt down and pulled her into my arms. "I'm sorry, baby. The grown-ups are just having a disagreement." "I want to go home," she whispered. "We'll go home right now." As I gathered my purse and Ava's things, Marcus spoke one last time. "Evanthi, I'm filing for separation tomorrow. My lawyer will be in touch." The words hit me like a physical blow, but I forced myself to stay upright, to walk out with whatever dignity I had left. It wasn't until I was in my car, Ava safely buckled in the back seat, that I allowed myself to break down. Through my tears, I saw a notification pop up on my phone. Someone had uploaded a new video to YouTube. The title made my blood freeze. "Cheating wife caught on camera, full security footage." The video had already been viewed 50,000 times. Monday morning brought a new level of hell. The YouTube video had exploded overnight, racking up 200,000 views and thousands of comments. Worse, someone had identified me by name in the comments section. Evanthi from Portland, works at Morrison & Associates. Poor husband. I found her Facebook. She's still posting about living authentically. Delusional. Someone should send this to her employer. Apparently, someone had. I arrived at work to find my boss, Janet Morrison, waiting in my office with HR Director Patricia Wells. Evanthi, we need to talk, Janet said, closing the door behind me. If this is about the video, videos, plural, and yes, that's exactly what this is about. Patricia pulled out a tablet, swiping through what looked like a dozen different clips. These have been sent to our company email, posted on our Facebook page, and shared in several professional groups where we have members. My stomach dropped. I don't understand how my personal life affects my work performance. When your personal life goes viral and reflects poorly on our company's reputation, it becomes our business, Janet said. We've had 3 clients call this morning asking if you still work here. What did you tell them? That we're reviewing the situation. The corporate speak was terrifying. Janet, I've worked here for 6 years. I've never had a performance issue. My personal problems shouldn't... Evanthi, Patricia interrupted. One of these videos shows you telling someone at the party that you make more money than your boring husband anyway, and that you're thinking about leaving him for someone more exciting. That someone tagged our company in the post. I had no memory of saying that, but the alcohol-soaked evening was mostly a blur. I was drunk. People say things they don't mean when they're drunk. Unfortunately, the internet doesn't care about your sobriety level. We're placing you on administrative leave while we decide how to handle this. You're suspending me. We're protecting you and the company while this situation resolves itself, Janet said. Take the week off. Let things cool down. We'll reassess next Monday. I cleaned out my desk in a haze of humiliation, aware that my coworkers were watching from their cubicles, whispering behind their hands. The walk to my car felt like a perp walk. At home, I tried to distract myself with housework, but my phone kept buzzing with notifications. The video had reached 500,000 views. Local news stations were picking up the story. Someone had created a meme using a screenshot of me grinding against Leo, captioned, "When you forgot you're married." My sister called around noon, sobbing. Evanthi, I'm so sorry. I never thought it would go this far. I just posted it for fun, for my followers. I didn't know people would share it everywhere. It's not your fault, Dina. Yes, it is. I should have asked before posting. I should have thought about the consequences. Marcus won't even look at me. Mum says I've ruined your marriage. My marriage was already in trouble. But even as I said it, I wondered if that was true. Yes, Marcus and I had fallen into a routine, but was that really so terrible? Was my need for excitement and attention worth destroying everything we'd built? The doorbell rang at 2 p.m. I opened it to find a process server with an envelope. Evanthi? Yes. You've been served. The papers inside were exactly what Marcus had promised: a petition for legal separation, temporary custody arrangements, and a motion to freeze our joint accounts pending financial disclosure. I called Marcus immediately, but his phone went straight to voicemail. I tried his office, but his assistant said he was unavailable. Finally, in desperation, I drove to his parents' house again. This time, Louis answered the door. Evanthi. I need to see Marcus. This is insane. He's trying to take Ava away from me. He's asking for primary custody with generous visitation rights for you. That's hardly taking her away. She's my daughter. She's his daughter too, and right now, she's confused and scared because her mother's behavior is being discussed at her school. The words hit like a slap. What do you mean? Some of the other parents saw the videos. Ava came home crying yesterday because a classmate asked her if her mummy was getting divorced. The guilt was suffocating. I never wanted her to be hurt by this. Then you should have thought about that before you decided to audition for every man at that party. It was the same phrase Marcus had used, and hearing it from his typically gentle father was devastating. Lewis, please, I know I made mistakes, but this is my family. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to fix this. Are you? Because Marcus showed me the messages you've been receiving. He also showed me that you haven't blocked the number. My face burned with shame. Those messages don't mean anything. They mean something to Marcus. They mean his wife is entertaining another man's attention while he's trying to save their marriage. I never responded. You never stopped it either. Before I could argue further, my phone buzzed with another text from Leo. Saw the news coverage. You're famous. Still want to grab that drink we talked about. Louis saw me check the message, saw the name on the screen, saw my guilty expression. I think you should go, Avanthi. Louis, go home. Think about what you really want, because if you want your family back, you're going to have to fight a lot harder than you have been. The door closed with the same finality as it had a week ago, leaving me standing on the porch of what used to feel like my second home, now feeling like a stranger. That evening, as I helped Ava with her homework and tried to pretend everything was normal, she asked the question I'd been dreading. Mummy, are you and Daddy getting divorced? I knelt down to her level, looking into eyes that were too worried for an 8-year-old. Daddy and I are having some problems right now, but we both love you very much. Is it because of the party? My heart shattered. What do you know about the party? Emma's mum said you were dancing with a man who wasn't Daddy. She said it was inappropriate. The fact that other parents were discussing my behavior with their children was mortifying. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, baby. I made a mistake at the party, and now Daddy is upset with me. Will you say sorry? I've tried, sweetheart, but sometimes sorry isn't enough. That night, after Ava was asleep, I sat alone in our empty house and finally allowed myself to face the truth. I had destroyed my marriage for a few hours of attention from a man who saw me as nothing more than a conquest. I had humiliated my husband, confused my daughter, and become a cautionary tale shared across the internet. And despite all of that, I still hadn't blocked Leo's number. The realization of what that said about me was almost too much to bear. The next 2 weeks passed in a strange, suspended animation. Marcus had moved back into the house, but into the guest bedroom. We spoke only about Ava's needs and schedules, maintaining a polite distance that felt more devastating than his earlier anger. I'd finally blocked Leo's number after receiving a dozen increasingly inappropriate messages, but the damage was done. The viral videos had died down, but the internet never forgets. Screenshots and memes still circulated, and I'd become a local cautionary tale about social media and infidelity. Work had become unbearable. Janet allowed me to return after my week of administrative leave, but the atmosphere was toxic. Co-workers whispered when I passed, clients requested different account managers, and I caught people watching the videos on their phones during lunch breaks. Maybe you should look for something else, my mother suggested during one of our daily phone calls. A fresh start might be good for everyone. I shouldn't have to change jobs because of this. Honey, sometimes we have to face consequences for our actions. It was the first time my mother had suggested I might be at fault, and it stung more than I expected. At home, Ava had become clingy and anxious, sensing the tension between her parents, but not understanding it. Marcus was patient with her, reading bedtime stories and helping with homework, but he treated me like a roommate he barely tolerated. The worst part was his calmness. I'd expected more anger, more confrontation, more emotion. Instead, he was methodical, businesslike, discussing our separation like a corporate merger. I've opened a separate checking account, he told me over coffee one morning, sliding a bank statement across the table. You're half of this month's household expenses. Marcus, this is ridiculous. We don't need separate accounts. Yes, we do. My lawyer advised it. The casual mention of his lawyer sent ice through my veins. How often are you talking to your lawyer? As often as necessary. What's that supposed to mean? He looked at me with eyes that used to hold warmth, now flat and unreadable. It means I'm protecting myself and my daughter. Our daughter. Of course. Our daughter. But the way he said it made me feel like I'd already lost custody. That afternoon, I decided to try a different approach. I bought ingredients for his favorite meal, beef stroganoff with homemade noodles, and spent hours in the kitchen trying to recreate the domestic harmony we'd once shared. When he came home from work, the table was set with our good china, candles were lit, and Ava was playing quietly in her room. "What's this?" he asked, taking in the scene. "Dinner. I thought we could try to have a normal evening together." He sat down but didn't touch his food. "Ivanthi, cooking my favorite meal isn't going to fix what's broken between us." "I know that, but maybe it's a start." "A start toward what?" "Toward saving our marriage." He was quiet for a long moment, pushing stroganoff around his plate. "Do you want to save our marriage, or do you want to avoid the consequences of ending it?" The question hit too close to home. "Both, I guess. At least you're honest." "Marcus, I know I hurt you. I know I embarrassed you. I know I made terrible choices that night. But we have 10 years together. We have Ava. Doesn't that count for something?" "It counts for everything. That's why this hurts so much." For the first time in weeks, I heard real emotion in his voice. "Then let's fix it. Let's go to counseling. Take a vacation. Whatever you need." "What I need is to trust my wife, and I don't know if I can do that anymore. Because of one night. Because of what that night revealed about who you really are." The words hung between us like a verdict. "That's not who I really am. That was alcohol and stupidity and your true feelings about our marriage. About me." I wanted to deny it, but the videos didn't lie. In my drunken state, I'd said things about Marcus, about our relationship, about my dissatisfaction that I'd never admitted even to myself. People say things they don't mean when they're drunk. Do they? Or do they just say things they're usually too afraid to admit? It was the same question he'd asked before, and I still didn't have a good answer. We ate in silence after that, the romantic dinner I'd planned turning into another exercise in polite distance. After Ava went to bed, Marcus disappeared into his office, emerging an hour later with a manila folder. "What's that?" "Financial documents, bank statements, investment accounts, property records. My lawyer needs everything documented." The casual way he said it made my blood run cold. "Why does your lawyer need our financial information?" "For the separation agreement." "I thought we were trying to work things out." Marcus looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. "Ivanthi, we are separated, legally. The papers you were served made it official." "But you moved back in." "I moved back in for Ava's sake, and to protect my assets while we work out the details." The clinical way he discussed our marriage's dissolution was more devastating than any angry confrontation could have been. "So, this is it? You've already decided we're over?" "I've decided to prepare for all possibilities." "What would it take for you to fight for us instead of just planning our divorce?" He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "I don't know if there's anything left to fight for." That night, I lay awake in our empty bedroom, listening to Marcus move around in the guest room, and tried to pinpoint the exact moment I'd lost him. Was it when I'd danced with Leo? When I'd humiliated him in front of his friends? When I'd refused to block Leo's number? Or had I lost him years ago, through 1,000 small acts of disrespect and dissatisfaction that had finally culminated in that one terrible night? The next morning brought another unwelcome surprise. A courier arrived while Marcus was getting ready for work, delivering a thick envelope addressed to me. "What is it?" Marcus asked, though his tone suggested he already knew. I opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside were depositions, witness statements, and a timeline of events that painted a devastating picture of my behavior. Screenshots of Leo's messages, transcripts of my drunken conversations from the party, financial records showing money I'd spent on clothes and makeup in the weeks leading up to Sarah's promotion party. At the bottom of the pile was a letter from Marcus's attorney, requesting a meeting to discuss amicable resolution of marital assets and custody arrangements. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked. Marcus adjusted his tie in the hallway mirror, not meeting my eyes. "Since the night you chose to humiliate me instead of coming home with your husband." "That's not what happened." "That's exactly what happened. And now we both have to live with the consequences." He kissed Ava goodbye and left for work, leaving me alone with a stack of legal documents that spelled out the end of everything I'd taken for granted. The appointment with his lawyer was scheduled for the following Friday. I had 5 days to figure out how to save a marriage that might already be over. I walked into Peterson and Associates, hoping for mediation, and left realizing it was really my sentencing. Marcus sat across from me, distant in his suit, while his lawyer laid out everything. High-def bar footage of me drunk and grinding on Leo. The alley footage of us pressed against the wall. The flirty texts I thought I'd erased but the phone company hadn't. The lingerie and shopping receipts right after the party. The coffee I'd secretly arranged and only cancelled because Marcus asked me to get Ava. They had statements from the bartender who said we were all over each other. From Sarah saying I'd told her I was done pretending to be happy, and a file showing how I'd emotionally checked out long before that night. My excuses, I was drunk, it was just dancing, I was trying to feel better, sounded pathetic against the pile of evidence. Peterson called Marcus's proposal generous, half the house value, 2 years of alimony, shared custody with him as the primary parent. If I refused, he'd take it to court and make everything public. Someday, Ava would find those records. That thought terrified me more than losing the house. Marcus only asked for one thing, that I admit what I actually did, not the sanitized story. "I loved you," he said quietly, "but I won't sacrifice my self-respect or our daughter's stability while you figure out who you want to be." 3 days later, I signed the papers. 10 years of marriage ended in a stack of signatures and a courier's envelope. Marcus kept the house, most of the assets, and Ava's day-to-day life. I got a small apartment, alternate weekends, and a note from him. A hope that I'd one day understand love means putting someone else's happiness above my ego, before Ava starts choosing her own partners. The internet moved on from my viral humiliation months ago. The people who mattered didn't. Every school drop-off at the home that used to be mine, every glimpse of Marcus slowly building a new life, every time Ava asks why mommy doesn't live with daddy, I'm reminded of what I traded away for a few hours of attention from a man who stopped calling as soon as the drama faded. Some mistakes get forgiven, some get forgotten. Mine rewrote my entire life, and now I have to live with that ending I chose all by myself.